Welcome, Menace.
Yeah, Menace.
Why do they call you Menace? Or why do you call yourself
Wow,
Menace?
we're just
Okay,
we're starting
awesome.
off just like that.
Yeah,
let's do
I
it.
want to know.
Okay, so
What makes you a menace?
how?
Those are three different
we'll,
questions.
We'll go into that later. But like, how I came up with the name Menace is I started on NBA Top Shot.
Hey.
Started trading in December of 2020, and I didn't have a name on the website, and I spent a lot of time on there. So I was like, okay, I need a name. So it kind of just randomly came to me, and I was like, okay, what sounds funny? MenaceToSociety. I'm just going to put that in, right? And mind you, I didn't make my Twitter until 1 year later. So I started my Twitter in January of 2022, and that was because I was bored of the market. We had like a small, like, I'm not going to say bear market, but like Mutant Apes went from like 80K to 30K. A lot of NFTs dumped. So I was like, okay, I have nothing to do now. I'm just going to start up Twitter. And the name carried over.
Oh, that's crazy that app was available. Low key.
So
on Twitter that it was available. Or did you?
I don't have that ad on Twitter.
Oh.
I have I have an ad that's very funny. It's like NFTs are nice.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which, I mean, right now.
Boy, Sonny's cooked. He didn't even know that.
Hey, sometimes you mix up the name and the ad.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair.
No, I don't know if it's available. Probably not. But I added NFTs are nice because I'm like, okay, what should I do now?
They're nice.
They're nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense now. But, like, I do think in, like, 4 or 5 months, NFTs start cooking heavy again.
We'll talk about that in a second, but before we get into that,
Yeah.
we got to dive back into, because I met Menace, I don't know, probably at this point, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I get invited to this dude's birthday party, and I'm like, oh, how old's he turn? It's like 21. And I'm like, you got to be absolutely shitting me. Like, he is turning 21. It made me feel 50 years old in that moment. But I got to know you more, and I started learning more about your background, like what you were doing before getting into crypto and everything like that. Yeah. So tell Sonny and tell everybody else a little bit more about your background of like what were you doing before getting into crypto, NFTs, NBA Top Shot, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So basically, I ended up getting into crypto through a reselling group. So before I did crypto, I did reselling, full-time reselling. I started with sneakers in 2018, but I started really late. So that was like kind of the end of the whole sneaker Supreme hype and all that. So I started doing sneakers Supreme. I did that for like 2 years. Didn't have any crazy success with it, but I was just doing that at the time. And then COVID happened, and the group that I was in, it's called Book of Alpha. It was called Book of Resell. So they rebranded during the 2022 NFT hype. They went from Book of Resell to Book of Alpha. But basically they had like from Amazon, FBA to eBay to like random collectibles that you can sell to sports cards to Pokemon cards. So they were just, it's like a full-on business. Like you have certain people for certain things. Like you pay one guy to post about sports cards. You pay another guy to post about concert tickets, vinyls, Amazon FBA. So they have everything in there. And when COVID happened, I was actually trading stock options. I lost all my money.
And you were what, like 18 doing all this?
Yes, that's all I can say. I was 18.
Oh, Marc,
I was 18. Yeah.
Come on.
And then I was going to college, and I was like, COVID happened. So then I had nothing to do because they shut down the classes. We couldn't go. We did everything on Zoom. So I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting here doing Zoom classes and playing League of Legends all day. So I was like, okay, I got to do something with my life. So I started getting more into reselling. And that was actually the perfect time because all the prices were inflated. Like, Americans in general have money, but before COVID, they had way more money to spend. So I would buy anything they posted in that group that could turn a profit. For example, like, you know, barbershops closed. People couldn't get haircuts. They started cutting their own hair. So clippers started selling.
You were buying clippers?
Yes. So I would buy them for $20.
Bro.
Same day they would sell for $80.
Bro.
Oh, way.
Yes.
That's most degenerate
Dog.
shit. Dude, Sonny, if you ever give me shit for betting on Korean baseball again, we got Sonny, we got Menace out here
I don't know.
buying clippers and selling clippers.
I mean,
That's
at least he got
it's
product.
strategic, though.
He's controlling that. You not controlling Korean baseball. You're not even watching the game.
I don't know. Maybe Menace has got a guy in his group that I can. All right, keep going. So you're buying clippers.
Yeah, so
crazy.
I'm buying clippers. At the time, mind you, I have like probably $200, and I had to borrow money from my dad. I was like, Dad, can you loan me like $200? I'll give you $300 back later today. He's like, yeah. So I went on the Target app. I was like, okay, what's available for pickup? I bought every clipper in like the area, right? Like a 20-mile radius. And then I drove to every Target and picked them up. And I think that day I made like $500 profit. So it's like huge, going from like 200 to 500 in one day. And after that, it was just volume. Like I was selling clippers. I was selling inflatable pools during that summer, bro.
Inflatable
I was running bots.
pools.
That's when I started running bots. I paid like $300 for a bot. And the bot protection on Target and Walmart wasn't that bad because it got way worse later with sports cards and everything and Pokemon cards, but it wasn't that bad at the time. So the setup was like super simple. You plugged in your billing info, you plugged in a link of the item you wanted to buy, and you just ran the bot. So whenever it was in stock, no human could get it. Only bots could buy it.
I'm not going to lie. I have a very similar story in terms of being in a resale cook group. And like, I never got into resale, but because they expanded so much during that time and started doing crypto and NFTs, like that's how I got in through NBA Top Shot too. But it was like in that group, I would see like the stuff that they would post in there that are like potential cooks, and I would see these random items come up, and I always wondered why there was these random items in these groups. And now I know like the type of person that's behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like now I get why they were talking about restock inflatable pool, like get it now, like Walmart links. Like I'm talking like real deal, like every category they had for reselling shit and just like random products. And I was like, damn, like it runs deep.
They really have everything. And a lot of the times they'll have like a channel for deals, for example. Like you'll see items 99% off or 90% off randomly, especially during, when's that big Amazon sale that happens? I think every August or something, but there's something called Amazon Day.
Oh, yeah, like Prime Day? Yeah.
Yeah, Prime Day, that's right. And I haven't seen any crazy deals recently, but 3 years ago, there was a $9,000 camera that dropped for $500, and people actually bought it, and it actually shipped.
Wow.
So and those groups go deep. There's like you said, so much stuff to look into, like so many aspects of every group. But I remember those pools, for example, I would turn on my bot, I would hit like 50 pools on target, and they would cancel like 30 of them because that's when it started getting bad. Like it began. They were like, oh, you got 50 orders, we're canceling as many as we can. But those pools still, they were $60 and they went for $360 the same day. So it's like, you're making a lot of money on these things. And that's when I started changing my names and like different emails, different phone numbers, different credit cards on my bot, so they wouldn't cancel my orders.
Damn.
How many credit cards were you using at the time?
10 or 15. And they were like a mix between debit cards, credit cards, and virtual debit cards. So there's these apps that you can link a bank account to. You can make like 20 virtual cards with different numbers.
Wow.
Bro was really cooking.
That's really in the trenches.
But it's like arbitrage everywhere, right? Like that's
there's money everywhere.
Yeah. That's probably what brought you up. Because did you mint apes? Like, were you around that time? Because you got into Top Shot, or did you miss that wave? I missed that wave.
Yeah, I missed it too. Like, I think everyone was on Clubhouse as well or something like that. That was the original spaces. But I did a ton of Top Shot until February of 2021, and then I was trading shitcoins on Binance for a little bit. So I did that and I missed apes. But then when Ethereum was 1,700, I think during the summer, I bought like 1 or 2 ETH, and then I minted Cool Cats. I traded some Gutter Cats, and then, you know, the story goes on. But that's when I got into it really, like summer of 2021. But back to the reselling stuff. It started getting crazy. Like when the PS5 came out and the Xbox X came out, that was like the big money right there, because you'd buy those for $500 a pop, and during Christmas they go for $1,100, $1,200. Like, you know, if you have a family, it's my bad, but like I was part of the reason you had to pay $1,200 for a console for your kids.
I was so happy I was in that group because I caught one for myself at retail, and I was like,
but that's what I'm saying. It's like you have the information, so you don't necessarily have to get it to sell it. But if you want it, you know how to get it for a cheaper price, for the normal price at least.
Sure. Get an extra one. And, part of the reason.
Yeah, but that's when it got really bad with Target and Walmart, because Target. Oh yeah, and Best Buy, but Target specifically. I had 15 Target accounts. And I would run them on my bot. And then at the time it got bad, so I had to buy proxies. Proxies are like different IP addresses. I had a set of 200 proxies, and they were switching between them every 5 seconds, so they won't ban my IP at home or ban my address. So I had different names. It wasn't completely different. Like you would add a letter or subtract a letter, because it was all bot protection. So it was basically automated or AI if it would detect you being the same human. So you had to change your phone number slightly, your address slightly. For my address, I used to live in a house. I would put different apartment numbers, but there's no apartment numbers because it's a house. So they would still ship there, but they wouldn't cancel them. And when I had to go pick them up, I would just, you know, take all the targets from a 25-mile radius, plug different stores in each account, and then I would wake up. These drops would happen at 6:30 Eastern. So I had to wake up every 2 weeks. There would be a PlayStation drop and an Xbox drop on Target. So I had to wake up every day at 6:30 to make sure I don't miss it. And all I had to do is like 2 hours of setting up the bot the previous day, and then I just click and the orders start coming in. And then I would just drive around the area and pick up one PlayStation from each Target, because if I picked up 2, they would ban me.
Damn.
So you have to be very careful with that, yeah.
Did these Targets start to recognize you?
Yes. So sometimes I would get like weird looks, because they'd see me there every 2 weeks whenever a drop would happen. They'd see me there.
They're probably like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was usually quick, and like sometimes my name on the pickup. So you know how I had to use different names, and they check IDs because it's an expensive item. I had to delegate, basically from the account, I had to delegate the pickup to myself. So it shows my actual name when I'm picking it up, so they don't cancel it.
Wow.
So it was, I mean, there was a lot of money involved. Like I was probably making $5-10K a month doing that.
Were you nervous about like, what if I buy something and it just flops? Like what if like, I mean, again, like you're buying pools. Like what if people just stop buying pools?
Honestly, I was never nervous, because Walmart has a 90-day return policy, and Target has I think Target has a 90-day as well. So it was very easy. There was no risk to it. It was just like how much time you would put into it and how deep you were.
You had the cheat code, because if you just didn't sell it in 90 days, you just return it.
Exactly.
My God.
Well, I love like Menace's generation of, because I feel like there's a lot of y'all that came up off the resale and like opportunities like that. Yeah. And it's literally all just about being in these groups and like networks and having the information to the what to buy essentially, and the bots and like
Well, and
it's insane.
And people can hate on it because there's going to be one person who watches this and is like, you essentially like scammed people. I don't agree with that. I'm gonna address that from the get go. I don't agree with that because of the fact of every generation has had things where you have an opportunity to buy it and sell it for more to somebody who doesn't want to take the time to buy it. And like I used to do that back when I was 18 years old for concert tickets. Like I would go on and I would buy every time a concert would drop. Yeah, I would buy 6 to 8 tickets. I would sell them for damn near double the price. And it was like, hey, if you want to be online at 10 a.m. when these go live, then you can do the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't using this is pre-bots. I don't even think bots existed back then. But it was like I was just doing it and buying them and then selling them because somebody was willing to buy them. And so at the end of the day, it's like you can hate it, but again, the opportunity is there. And when it comes to like sports trading cards and some of this other stuff that you're getting into, there were people who were probably buying the stuff that you were doing to flip it to somebody else. So I mean, like the flip process didn't stop with you.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, if people hate on it, it's like it's not the same, but you can say like, oh, you bought this house for $50K. Why should I buy it now? 10 years later for $500K.
100%.
It's like 10 years ago when it was $50K, you didn't buy the house. Okay, so it is what it is. But that's what I like about the modern day and age. There's so many ways to make money online. You can do that. You can do a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it's whatever makes you happy.
How did you, I guess like my question for you is you're so young and you're so on top of everything. Like, I guess I think when Sonny and I were 18 years old, like we were doing shit a little bit different. I don't think we were hustling that hard. Like we were hustling in our own way, but like to be at the forefront of all of this stuff at such a young age and to have kind of that foresight of like, okay, I think this is where this is going. Was it literally just being in these alpha groups or like what made you, I guess, like have the know-how of like, this is going to be successful?
So honestly, it all started with, like I said, the sneakers and the Supreme. Like I wanted to get into reselling those items because I wanted to wear those items. And back to what Sonny said, I feel like my generation, they all wanted to wear Supreme. They all wanted to wear Off-White, the new Yeezys. But those are so expensive. It's like you either have to come from rich parents or you have to find a way to make money. So I guess we all kind of got into that by making money. But yeah, I was in those groups for 2 years trying to get like sneakers and Supreme. And in those 2 years, I probably made like $6,000 in 2 years. It's like nothing, basically. I like wasted the money on something. I don't even remember what, but it was basically those 2 years that contributed into me getting into the COVID stuff, like the reselling that happened during COVID. It all happened because I was familiar with that group and groups on Discord for those 2 previous years. Because I always, like, whenever I see people working hard on stuff and it's not working out, I'm like, just keep working on it. If you work hard on something, eventually money is going to come from somewhere else. Because I never expect to get into crypto and NFTs. Like, I was doing full-time reselling. It just happened to be a crossover between sports cards and basketball into digital videos of basketball players. Yeah. That led to NFTs.
Literally. That rabbit hole was just... Because then I literally just got into wanting to get into more things. Like, what are other NFTs I could collect? And I feel like I missed the wave on ETH. Yeah, missed Bored Apes and all that, and that's when I found Solana like early, like a month after DJ Apes and SMB.
Solana was so early then. Yeah, it was crazy early,
and it was just like, all right, cool. The barrier to entry is not bad. It was kind of like similar to Top Shot, and it was super easy. So I don't know, took a chance on it, and like you just fuck around and find out, right? Like
dude, all the ETH people, including myself. Okay, we kept saying like Solana for the poor, Solana for the poor. It's like. All the people who joined Solana now, and I'm sure there's so many new people that joined from like $8 to $210 we hit, I think, this cycle so far.
Are we going back to $8?
No. Okay, so I think the lowest we can go is 85 to 90.
Can you knock on wood when you're saying that? Hit the wood in front real quick. Okay, thank you.
So I don't think it's going to happen though, but I think that's the lowest, and I do think we're going to top in November of 2025 when we are going to see $500 at least on Solana.
Give me your I guess when you started to change your mindset on Solana, because I feel like a lot of people, kind of like you said, there was a lot of people in Ethereum that was like, Solana's for the poorest, and a lot of people, it wasn't like they were just saying it to be funny, they truly meant it.
Oh yeah.
So when did you, I guess, start to go, well, actually, like, there's a lot of money to be made in Solana, why am I not looking into this more?
So DeGods definitely played like a huge role into that, because I remember before I saw DeGods minting, I probably minted 5 projects and got rugged on all of them. And Solana was expensive. It was $250.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's expensive and there's rugs anywhere. And
they
mind
wanted 3.33 Sol.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an expensive mint, but back on ETH, we had no rugs. That was the thing. Like, what's that? Late summer of 2021, we had no rugs. So we had no drainers. We had no rugs. A lot of my friends kept their whole portfolios on the hot wallets.
That's wild.
So like my experience on Solana was going over and getting rugged 5 times, and that never happened on ETH. So I was like, okay, this is a bad chain, which was a huge mistake. But after that, when DeGods came out, actually like a DeGod holder who's known, Average Mikey, he was in the same reselling group I was in. So he was like, buy DeGods. And he kept like messaging me.
Mikey.
He's like,
Mikey.
Dude, amazing guy. He messaged me at 3 Sol. I don't know if it dipped after the mint. Did it dip?
No, it went up to like 14, and then it gradually fell down to probably right around mint price for a minute.
Yeah, so he was like, he was telling me buy one at 3, buy one at 6, and then buy one at 12. And then he eventually came back to me whenever, I don't know what price, but they moved pretty hard. But after I saw DeGods, then I was like, okay, I have to get into Solana. And then what else got me into it? I mean, ETH NFTs were just like so good. If you experienced the ETH NFT run, you were like, Solana is too slow. But then what happened on Solana, there started to be hype mints. So gradually all the ETH people went over, because it's like, why fade money, right? There was a lot of volume on Solana back then, but I think DeGods played a big role and bring me over to Solana.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, my ETH experience, I mean, my first week trading ETH NFTs, I was up 75 grand in 3 days. And I was like, I'm a genius. Like, I've done it. I'm going to be a billionaire. And
insert that picture of you looking in the mirror on the flight.
Yeah.
Right there.
Sell next time, idiot. I don't know if I took any profit on that. I'm pretty sure I wrote all of that to zero. Like, I still hold some of those that I bought back then. But it was like, I'm not even going to say the projects, because some of them I like the founders, but but yeah, I mean, it was a humbling experience. But so for you, I guess, like, what made you then convicted on something, and what made you? Because I feel like you go by MenaceToSociety. I feel like in some ways that's actually kind of true, because I feel like you have no like worries with just like flooring the shit out of something like that. If you're like, hey, this is a good flip opportunity, like, I'm going to take it, profit's profit. And so what made you want to hold on to something and give you kind of conviction on it, whether it was your thesis back then or your thesis now? What makes you want to hold on to something?
So honestly, the things I've held on to the most from the beginning of my NFT journey is, of course, my Mutant Ape. I mean, my Loud Punks, because it makes you free money like yearly, because you can get VIP tickets at every event. So, I mean, you can sell those tickets. So I feel like that's a good project. And then my Penguins is what I held. So I'll tell you why I held the ape. The Mutant Ape I held because...
And you bought it at what? Just for context.
So I actually caught Mutant Apes at Mint. we actually found the website in one of the alpha groups. The alpha group was MVHQ, Metaverse HQ. Everyone was on VC like 24/7, so you could not miss anything there. And one of the staff members, I think he's called Jake and Bake, he found on the Yuga Labs website there was a mint that was open. And right now, you'd never go on a website and fucking mint something without announcement. You're bound to lose all your money now. But back then, like I said, there was no drainers, no scams. So he found that, and Yuga Labs put the link on purpose and didn't announce it on purpose and let people find it out for themselves. And they announced it 3 hours after the mint was open.
Oh, wow.
So the Mutant Apes, I think they started at 3.1 ETH, and it was a Dutch auction. So I call up my friend Sam, and I'm like, bro, do we buy these? This is like $15,000 that we're going to drop on the mint, or 12,000, something like that, right? I think it was 12,000 actually. He's like, bro, I don't know. This is like a lot of money. And we ended up buying them at around 3 ETH. And my friend, he pulled an M2, which was the rare one. That same day, he sold it for $40,000. I sold mine, which was a very ugly one. I sold it for like $8,000 profit. But then I flipped 3 or 4 apes, mutant apes. And then I found my ape at 6.9 Ethereum floor. That was 31K at the time. And I was like, okay, I'll just buy onto this and hold it because I like the way it looks. Also, everyone, yeah, like everyone wanted to be a Bored Ape. Everyone. It was crazy. Like Bored Apes, they could do anything they wanted. So I thought the Mutant Ape was cool. I couldn't afford a Bored Ape. Those were like 150K at the time, I believe.
That's
like,
so wild to think about.
Oh yeah, and so I bought that. I held on to it because I liked it, and I was like, okay. That was before my Twitter. So 2 months after I bought it, I was like, okay. I was going for a quick flip, but I'm like, I'm going to keep this ape because it matches the Menace name. Because it's smiling like that and it has like the crazy eyes. And it's like, okay, this ape is trolling.
It's like your digital identity at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So, and back then that was big. That was a big thing. Like people who didn't experience NFTs, of course, they're not going to understand, but there were people holding onto assets that they're up like a couple $100,000 on just because it was their digital identity. Now it doesn't matter as much because, I mean, the wave has moved on. But back then it was a big, big deal. Like people would offer you a lot of money above the floor price to buy your ape because it was your identity and it meant something. For example, Mutant Apes went to 130K. Someone offered me 200K to buy out my Mutant Ape. And now looking back at it, now it's 5K or something. Oh. So looking back at it, I'm like, I should have probably done it. But then again, it was a different cycle. You know, it was a different phase. But conviction, because it was Yuga Labs, because I liked how it looked and it matched my Twitter vibe.
That's so crazy. It's literally neck and neck because same shit with my DeGod. Oh, yeah. I had offers of when we hit peak like 30K floor. I think I got an offer for like 80K or 90K for it, and I was like, nah.
You didn't even. I feel like,
I didn't even budge. I didn't even budge. Yeah. I was just like, nah. What I'm gonna get out of this is gonna be so much greater than this sale right here. I just always felt that and believed that. Is that the same for you with your ape?
Yeah. I kind of feel like it because, I mean, I really like the ape, and I mean, I sound like a Yuga Labs fanatic now. Actually, my account came up because I owned an ape, but I was the number one person who would FUD apes every day. Because, I mean, there were a lot of cringe moments. There were a lot of, like, moments that you could make fun of. But my way of talking about those moments was not to be like, oh, look at this cringe guy. You know, it wasn't me piling up on people. It was just me being funny with it. Like, most of the people who were quote unquote being made fun of were also having fun seeing my posts because they were just not too bad. It was just a bit of fun with a bit of laughter. And back then, everyone's bags were up, so no one cared that much. When the bear market happened, when that came, I could not post stuff like that anymore. Like people were pissed. They were like, "Oh, you're saying we're down 200K on this NFT?" You know, everyone was mad.
Yeah. Why do you think, looking back at it now, why do you think Bored Apes kind of lost some of the magic and luster that they had at one point in time? Because I don't necessarily automatically think it's just because of price, right? Because I think right now all NFTs are down bad, but there's still plenty that get a lot of love and support. And I do feel like Yuga is one of the more controversial projects in terms of like people either like still absolutely love it or despise it with a burning passion. And there was one period of time where everybody loved Yuga, right? And it was something where I remember when you got a follow from a Bored Ape holder and it was like, damn, like
it was big.
That's sick. Yeah. And so why do you think, looking back, what like sort of mistakes do you think they made, and do you think they can turn it around?
That's actually a really good question. I think they did amazing with the marketing and how they did it. I mean, the hype was there. They started off as a small group of, there were four founders that just wanted to create a story. They got a bunch of degens in there, and they had fun parties and fun stuff to do. And the marketing with MoonPay that they did was really, really good. Getting all those big celebrities in, like it was amazing. But I think they lost it when they stopped really paying attention to what the community wanted, because they've done this mistake many, many times. It's the mistake where they act on something, they release something, they launch something. No one from the community likes it. It's like 1% of the community likes it. They never ask the community. And then after, I see one of the founders come out and put this whole thread on what they could have done better. And, you know, they understand why it's bad. But I've seen Yuga do this like 5 or 10 times ever since Other Side. Because Other Side basically killed them, because they probably raised, I think, 300 million in ApeCoin on that mint, which is crazy to even say. There's 300 million. And then they also burned, like, I don't know if the numbers are right here that I'm saying, but I think they also burned another 100 million in Ethereum on gas fees. Like, when that mint happened, the whole blockchain stopped. Like, transactions were not going through. Even Vitalik commented on it. They were like, I think Vitalik said, like, why did you guys make your own chain? And a lot of other guys were saying, why didn't you make it a raffle? Or why didn't you make it a claim? Or something like that, where you would have saved 100 million in Ethereum fees that was burned. Which, I mean, if you weren't there, you can't imagine that happening with an NFT now. Like, NFTs are so down. But that was their last major raise of money, and that basically was timed perfectly. I don't think it brought the bear market. I definitely think NFTs took a hit because of it, because so much liquidity was out of the market. But it was just terrible timing, a terrible way of doing it. A lot of people were upset. And I mean, a lot of these holders, they were up, you know, 200K from ApeCoin, 400K on the ape. The mutant ape was 100-something K. And I mean, a lot of them did not sell because everyone was so passionate in that community. Like, even if, I mean, a lot of people were rich in it, in NFTs, but a lot of people were also just, I've heard so many stories of people being drunk and randomly buying their apes for mint price and then ending up with all those assets that total up to $1 million. So I think,
just getting faded.
Yeah,
minting some apes and it turns into a mill. That's
I've heard
hell of a story.
I've heard 5 people tell me that story. that they were drunk either on Clubhouse, crypto Twitter, and they found the Discord and they found the apes and they liked the vibe and they bought one for $300-400, I think it was. But yeah, they messed up on the other side, Mint. It was bad timing. And then they don't really listen to their community. I mean, also they went really VC, which, I mean, you can't really avoid when you get that big. But it did make it more difficult for them to be in touch with the community. I think also the Ape Coin Council, all those guys getting paid $20K a month for 3 hours of work a week. And a lot of them were, I guess at the time, not the most popular apes. So it kind of seemed like, oh, why are you guys hiring these people? They're not going to listen to the community. They're not going to be in touch. I mean, for example, Thread Guy should have been on that.
Oh, 100%.
Because Thread Guy, most popular mutant ape at the time, he did the spaces. He was also doing like spaces with Shill and Villain, which was Solana side of things. So why didn't they hire him to be one of the members? You know, they made very illogical decisions sometimes. And also, I mean, something that...
Yeah, they fumbled on that.
Yeah.
They fumbled hard on that.
They fumbled big. And, like, another thing that couldn't be avoided was Gordon, one of the founders, had an issue with his heart. So he stepped down. And I think, personally, he was, like, the strongest leader out of all four of them, in my opinion. So that definitely was terrible timing. I mean, you can't avoid that, but I'm saying, like, with all the other stuff happening, that was kind of their downfall, in my opinion.
What do you think they would have to do to turn back the... Because I do feel like it's one of those things where the NFT space is still so much in its infancy, right? We're talking about all this stuff as if this happened over the period of 20 years. It's happened over the last 3, right? Yeah. So... You know, I think a lot of times when you think about it, we see big brands all the time. New Balance is one Sonny and I were talking about not too long ago, where New Balance was a brand that was for, you know, suburban dads in the, you know, Midwest, and now it's like considered like a dope brand, right? Yeah. There are Crocs, where once you got bullied when you wore those things back in 2007, right? And now Crocs are cool, right? So we've seen things become cool, not cool, cool again, things like that.
You wear Crocs on this?
With that. Like, what do you think they would have to do to turn around the sentiment? Because again, I don't think it's over.
Yeah, I don't think it's over either. I think Bored Ape is definitely going to be one of the projects that carries on. I think Azuki as well. Azuki, I mean, they work on a lot of cool shit. I mean, Pudgy for sure. But what apes would have to do to turn this around? I mean, it's a very difficult answer to give, because the market has to agree as well. Because if we go back to an NFT bull market, I don't think we see anything as huge as the last one was. But if we get into a bull market for NFTs and liquidity rolls back, people are making cool stuff, you know, cool parties again and everything, I think apes would come back because of their community aspect, of course. I mean, a lot of people left for sure, but there's also a ton of hardcore fans of BYC that still work on cool stuff. They make merch. They found friends and a family through Bored Ape Yacht Club, so they're never going to leave it. But they would have had to, like, get more in touch with the community. I think number one, that's it, because community is the whole point of any project, really. I mean, yeah, the founders make money, but without your community, you will never make money. You'll never be anything. Like, you can create and market things, but your community is what, at the end of the day, makes your NFT great. So they have to listen to the community. They have to ramp up the marketing again with influencers. I don't think they will ever reach the heights that they did. I think that was hype stacked on hype, along with celebrity marketing, along with perfect market conditions. So I don't think we reach those levels again. But I do think we are bottomed out in a way where if they listen to community, market comes back, they start doing cool stuff, and people start having more money again, I think they're going to start going up again. I mean, maybe they hit 50% of what they hit last bull run, but it's also the aspect of a lot of people being having a sour taste in their mouth because they lost a lot of money on it, or they could have made a lot of money if they sold, and now they're just stuck there and making the best of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, when you say you don't think that it could get back to those levels, do you mean NFTs overall, or do you mean specifically for apes? Like, do you think NFTs ever do reach those like absurd levels of something selling for 200K, 250K, something of those levels?
I think it happens. I just don't think apes that were number one previously can reclaim number one. I think it's going to be very difficult for that to happen, because you have to think, back then they were airdropping houses to people. Like, Bored Ape holders were at the peak of ApeCoin, they had $270,000 of ApeCoin.
That's
airdrop
crazy.
Per ape?
Per ape.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And Mutant Apes had 50K, I want to say, at the top. It was like, if they can replicate that, they will hit the highs. But I don't think that can happen. Like, that's not possible. It was euphoria, basically.
I think too, part of it is, and it's one thing that I would like to see change with Bored Ape, and I think it's very possible, is that there was a time period where when ETH NFTs were like king, you could not get a hold of the top projects on Ethereum. It was impossible.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't going to hear from their team members. You weren't going to hear from their founders. You weren't going to see them in spaces. You weren't going to see any of that stuff, right? And I think the first person who kind of changed that was Luca, right? Luca came in, started doing a lot of forward-facing kind of marketing. He was, approachable. He was talking to people. He was so confident with the way that he talked about Pudgy that he made people believe in it even stronger. And I think from there, he then started making connections with people on Solana and became friends with a lot of those people, including Frank and things like that, right? And he became approachable. I mean, obviously, he came on the podcast, did a podcast with me, and that was the first ETH project I had ever done a podcast with, right? Yeah. And they were mad cheap, and I should have bought a bag, and I regret that to the day I die. But anywho, I think one of the things I would like to see with Bored Ape is, like, I would love to see their founders go to Solana Breakpoint, like, go and break bread with people over there, like, go into a Twitter space that has 100 people and just connect with them. Like, that sort of stuff goes such a long way. Go on Twitter and shitpost with people and talk some, and I have seen Gordon, I feel like, do more of that, and I've seen Garga do a little bit and things like that, but I would just like to see them do that more and more and more, because the days of people feeling like they're like untouchable in crypto Twitter, that shit's dead. Like, the two most like prominent names, or three most like prominent like creator names in crypto Twitter right now are Ansem, Thread Guy, and Frank, right? And all three of them, you can get a tweet back. If you just say something about the Eagles, Ansem's going to respond back. A Thread Guy, you just literally damn near say anything, Thread Guy's going to respond. Yeah. And Frank, you just say DeGod mode and he's going to respond, right?
Exactly.
They're approachable. You look at some of the biggest project founders, they're approachable. That's what I would like to see change with Yuga, and that's, I think, what would make people feel like, maybe people like us, where we're like, okay, at the time, maybe we were priced out of Bored Apes, but like, if they got to a certain price point and I started to feel like, hey, I think there is some positive sentiment to turn around, like, I would go and buy one myself, right? And so I think it's just stuff like that, little minimal changes that I think could go a long way. So
yeah, I totally agree with you, because, I mean, crypto is about the community. Like, crypto is about the people you meet online, because a lot of people go online to, find friends or take a break from their everyday life. And when you find a community like crypto, it's like, oh, you can make money here, or you can learn a lot of things about crypto. So community is everything. They definitely need to come to events more. I mean, when they hired that other CEO, and they hired a whole different team, it was like, it didn't feel organic. Like, the whole community was formed around those four initial founders. So, I mean, they were there at ApeFest first Ape Fest, of course. And I mean, the Ape Fest 2022, that was huge. Like Eminem, Future, Lil Baby, Snoop Dogg. It was truly a wild event, and that came out from an NFT. That event, which is crazy. But they were there in the crowd. I mean, you could go up, meet them. You could talk to them. Now you only...
Oh, they were like kicking in with y'all at Ape Fest, like with all the holders?
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult for them because they were, I mean, of course on the peak of NFTs, but also the whole world was talking about them. So there were other celebrities there as well with them. So it was, but they were open to speaking to everyone, and they were super cool. But I feel like now you can only get a hold of them if you go to Ape Fest, which also doesn't happen these days when the other NFT events happen, or NFT, for example, Singapore, or NFT NYC or NFT LA. There's no ape events really officially from them at those places. They host their Ape Fest. So.
Yeah, they got to become more approachable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Like, again, there's no reason why not to do an event, at Art Basel or, at NFT New York and things like that. I mean, again, it just goes such a long way. But, I think the biggest thing is, like, all these projects can still learn. The space, again, is so young. Even crypto just in general, like, we're talking about, like, barely over a decade, right? And so it's like, we still have such a long way to go from here. And with that, I think anybody has the ability to turn it around, but you just got to stop doubling down on what you've been doing and start doing new things, right? The space moves, people change, the whole, I mean, again, even just having this conversation, I feel like Sonny will probably agree. It's like a flashback of all the different things that we've gone through over the last 3 years. Like, this is some wild stuff. But,
I wanted to know what, cause you mentioned like apes being in Clubhouse, and I think that was kind of like the start of their movement, right? It was like on Clubhouse and people were in Discords. What made you come to Twitter? Like, what made people in the community want to like come to Twitter and make it their PFP and like start building up accounts, I guess? Because you made your Twitter back in 2022, right?
Yeah. So before that, I had a Twitter, but I only had it to like enter some giveaways and stuff. I never really used Twitter. And I started using it more when NFTs came around. And I think like the reason I started using it was honestly out of boredom, because NFTs weren't flipping for that short period of time. But when I started using it, I would post the NFTs I would buy. And I'd be tagging the community of a project, for example, this one early ETH project. It was Koala Intelligence Agency. It was really funny. But I posted that picture that I bought one, and I did like hashtag koalas or something. And I got 100 likes. So I'm like, okay, this is really cool. You can post your NFT and you instantly join a community. So it was very powerful. Like you said before, if you got followed by a Bored Ape, you were hyped. The aspect of community was really powerful on Twitter for NFTs. So I feel like that's what kept me on Twitter, and also everyone else who was into NFTs. No one was on Telegram. It was Discord and Twitter back then.
Yeah, I was always mainly on Twitter, but I was just curious as to like why you would like potentially want to start like building that platform. And yeah, I think the network effect of being able to connect on a public platform, but also just like build up a platform by posting and having people interact with you. I think there's like a lot of power to that, where I feel like we just started at not knowing what it could become at this point in time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because when I started it, I had no expectations. Like I did not have any other big social media accounts. I ran a meme page on Instagram. I had like 4,000 followers, but that was for fun. But I didn't really expect my account to get this big. I just saw an opportunity, and I was like, okay, if I keep posting, I'll keep getting more interactions. I keep joining more communities, I'll get more interactions. So at the time, I would post probably like 10 to 15 memes a day, and I would get probably 5 likes on each meme. But what I did after, I I started commenting on a lot of people's posts, and I wouldn't leave like spammy comments and stuff. I would leave genuine comments. So then I started getting added into group chats, and that's how I met more people. And then the algorithm was very different back then. So me commenting on that many people boosted my account a lot into the algorithm. And there was 1 month that I went from 6,000 followers to 20K followers. And that's basically when all the big people followed me back then. Like back then it was Beanie, Zeneca, it was Farouk, and I'm forgetting some other big people. But if those people followed you and you made connections with them, like it was a pretty big deal back then. And I mean, it still is. A lot of them are great people. But yeah, that was like a breakthrough point for me, getting from 6 to 20K in 1 month, getting all the big follows. I think that really opened my eyes to the opportunities of having a big Twitter account, because I mean, I probably would have met you guys, but maybe I didn't meet you guys if I didn't have that Twitter account and we connected through there. So it's like I met a lot of great people. And with that comes, a lot of cool experiences, a lot of knowledge. Sometimes you can make money through connection. So it's honestly, I didn't see the value at first. At first I did it as a hobby, but then, and also I was having fun with it. Like I kind of also had a dopamine addiction when it came to posting on Twitter because I would just keep posting and get more engagement and more engagement. So it was really fun for me. Alongside trading, it would really help me stay on top of all the NFT mints that were happening and all the news. I mean, when Gary Vee would sweep something, when Farouk, Beanie, and them would post something, I would always see it because I was always on Twitter. So it pretty much, it was very beneficial from all aspects of NFT trading.
Here's my question for you, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are wondering this. Like, I think when you go through multiple cycles, you can look back in the past and go, okay, it was kind of obvious when we like topped out in that moment, right? For you, I guess, what are like the indicators that you look for in this cycle currently for when okay, all right, I think we topped out. It's time for me to take some profits. It's time for me to trim some of my bags and things like that. What are signs that you look for?
Honestly, so like you said, everyone can say, oh, it was so obvious, like apes ran so much, and then the other side mint happened, and then Ethereum went down, Solana went down. But I really can't look at indicators. I mean, I can kind of read charts based on the cycles, but the way I trade and the way I do it is whenever the coins are high, for example, with this cycle with meme coins, whenever Solana was high, like 180, 190, I would always sell Solana because I know, obviously, and you can lose sometimes on trades, but if you play it the right way, I know I can get more Solana in my wallet. So my goal really is not to like keep everything for the top. My goal is always to trim profit as we go. And that's what I did with NFTs. NFTs on Ethereum, I knew that I could always flip them and make money like at that time, right? So it was like, okay, I don't care if I sell Ethereum. Like I'll have more ETH tomorrow, or this week I'll make more ETH. So that's kind of how I trade. I mean, I never really bought a lot of ETH. I bought 1 or 2 ETH in the beginning, and then I ran it up through NFTs. So my way is always trim money whenever you feel like you're hitting a local top. I mean, Solana ran from 8 to 200, right? And we saw it range from like 150 to 190 a couple times. So I was like, okay, every time, sometimes I would buy like at 140, 150. But whenever it ranged again to 190, unless it breaks out, I mean, it's going to go down again. I mean, I wouldn't never imagine, like, what are we now, 120? I never would imagine 120, but whenever we go up, I always try to trim some.
I feel like that's a fair point. Yeah. I mean, you got to take some along the way, right? And enjoy it for whatever you need to spend it on. IRL, daily life. Because you're in crypto full time, right?
Yeah. So I'm in crypto full time. So that's also, like, I mean, advice to the people who are full time. Like, if you want, take it. If you want, don't take it. But it's always like, at the end of the day, if you're here full time, you're here to also make money. Make money to live, make money to do stuff in the future. But I've round tripped a lot of bags last cycle. I mean, I took good profit as well. But it's like, every time you look back and you're like, oh, that was obvious. Oh, I could have done that. I should have sold this. And it's like, at the end of the day, you always have to take profit, in my opinion. And that came from me doing the reselling stuff. Because at the end of the day, I got into crypto and NFTs to make money. So I always thought of it as mainly a way to make money. I never thought of it as a way to, like, keep accruing Solana until you have, like, a shitload of Solana. I mean, I still hold a lot, but I always like to just take some profits. Like Sonny said, I mean, if you're full time, you have to pay bills. You have to go on these trips. You have to, maybe you like buying stuff sometimes, Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's Sonny.
Hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? It's, do you work in the space too? Like, do you do any type of deals, or you're working as, like, anything for certain projects?
Yeah, so I've ran Twitter accounts before. I've done marketing for projects, for bigger companies. Currently, I work with Hello Moon, so that's my, like, full-time job, alongside the trading and the Twitter shit posting and being in the trenches and other stuff like that. So yeah, it's always good. And I mean, back to growing my account, I would have never got this job if my account wasn't big, because a lot of the times you use the account to reach out to people. I mean, even you having a big account makes people sometimes, if you're a good person, of course, you're not posting, like, racist stuff. But Marc.
That's crazy.
But I mean, it makes people like you more, especially if you're doxxed. I know Marc is really doxxed. Sonny, you're a bit doxxed. Myself, I mean, I'm doxxed, but people always ask me, bro, are you doxxed? Can I post this? I'm like, I doxxed 3 years ago. Okay. But yeah, I feel like people like you more if you're doxxed, because there's not many doxxed people in the space. Now there's way more, but 2-3 years ago, it was way less people that were doxxed. But yeah, I currently work with Hello Moon. And I think if you're in the space full time, I think it's good to have a job in the space as well, instead of just trading. Because I always used to just trade. And then I'm like, okay, trading is fun and all, but also job experience is cool. Why 100%. Not? I mean, a lot of people look down on college, and, like, I mean, I dropped out of college, but, like, it doesn't matter. But a lot of people look down.
He was swing trading inflatable pools.
Yeah, like, he's like, what am I in college for? Oh, God.
But a lot of people look down on it. I guess it's, like, the newer generation. But having job experience and learning stuff and go to college is cool, in my opinion. And you should definitely do it if you have the chance. I'm not saying, like, completely get out of crypto, stop trading, to focus on getting a job. But if you're in the space, just work on the Discord, help people build a project, like, run marketing. No one came into the space knowing these things. A lot of people, they came into the space and their first jobs were crypto, so they learned through those jobs. So I encourage people to do that.
Yeah, get a hands-on experience is super important. And I mean, to that point too, it's interesting because we have this entire ecosystem where the people that are getting paid from these Web3 jobs, a percentage of that, whatever it may be, is going back into the market in some sort of way.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of just like it's creating its own cycle within that there's jobs in the space. There's like brands that you can work with and be a part of. And all of that is kind of like rotating through, and you're probably accruing more crypto at this point, hodling onto some bags, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice to get extra capital. Like, you don't always have to rely on just the trading to have that income and be able to show up and be here every day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you said, someone's goal may be to get like, 1 Bitcoin. I mean, one Bitcoin is expensive, but if you do 1 job or 2 jobs in crypto, you're going to get that Bitcoin way quicker. And when it hits all-time high, 250K, I mean, you're going to have 250K from doing those jobs.
Talk dirty to me, man. That's 250K all time.
Did a prize
250K.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that, Mark?
I would love life. Yeah. I would be very happy.
I think it's going to happen because, I mean, we saw 69K, we saw 70K. It's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but it's not much higher than the previous all-time high.
Yeah. No, I think the cycle is going to be. I guess like the thing that I look for when I consider like a top of a cycle is like how big do I think this market can get? And I think back to like the trading card market in 2021, and it was insane. But I was like, I don't really think there are more people who are coming in to buy these. Like, I think like we reached the capacity of people that were going to buy it, right? And I think with crypto, we still have a lot of people that have never even thought about buying it.
I love that.
And I think that's the thing that I guess like gives me some level of excitement. And I think right now more than ever, we're kind of getting the big, VCs and the big investment groups and things like that are coming in and buying a lot of crypto. And like, obviously we had the ETFs and everything like that. And that legitimizes a lot of what's happening here. And so I just think long term, that's a very exciting thing. And so I think when you get into price fluctuations, when you get into the chop and things like that, I know it can get really boring and things like that, but I just think about it again of we have so many more ways that crypto is looked at as a legitimate, asset class more than ever before. And so to me, that makes me bullish on the future. And so if you're bullish on the future of it, again, then you wouldn't really care about the chop because that just means that like, okay, this is just part of the game. And so don't freak out, go touch grass, get off Twitter every once in a while, go actually do something, go hang out with your friends, your family, and enjoy life. But like at the same time, again, unless something's changed your convictions, like don't worry about it. And if you do think, if your convictions are like, hey, at this point, I think this is the top for good on whatever. It could be anything. It could be flipping sneakers. It could be trading cards. It could be, whatever, buying and selling, reselling, PS5s. If at some point you're like, hey, I think this is the peak of it, get out, and that's just,
exit.
Yeah.
And
done with it.
It's funny you mentioned that today because today is one of those days that like a lot of people had to touch grass. Because I logged into Twitter and everyone was complaining. Everyone was crying. I mean, it's been the past week, but today ETH is down 7%. And everyone is doom posting. Everyone is like, oh, we're going to see $80 Sol, $1,700 ETH, 40K Bitcoin. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, like you said, Mark, I mean, there's going to be ups and downs. But if you have clear targets, there's clear targets. There's more chances for you to buy. And that's going back to like the job thing we were talking to before. Because if you're full-time trading and, the market is like this, I mean, the best coin on Solana today went to like 120K market cap, I think.
God.
It's like 5,000 coins came out today. 1 or 2 crossed 120K. It's like, you are not making money in this market. And of course, you're going to be panicking. You're going to be complaining. You're going to be doom posting on Twitter if that's the only thing you do and you have no other source of income to either buy the dip or live or go outside and do something. So, yeah, I mean, our convictions are high. The target is high. 250K, I think, is happening.
Would love to see it.
Just holding on to our hands. I love it.
Yeah. I feel like we should wrap up this podcast, but I feel like we got to do multiple with Menace, because Menace got a billion stories that you just Menace is I want to give a quick story actually about Menace, because this time last year was right around when DeGods Season 3 came out, and actually both of you took a big role in kind of getting me back on my feet, because during that time, I was pretty depressed. Like, there was a lot of personal shit going on at the same time that DeGods Season 3 was a epic failure, and the "you don't know shit" meme comes out, and I can look back at it now and laugh, but it was not a laughing matter, August 2023. Wow. And I remember there were two distinct nights that I remember that I will straight up never forget, but both nights individually with the two of you, where one night Sonny and I got pizza, we were sitting in Venice, and I was just down tremendous. And Sonny was like, "Hey, everything's going to be all right. Like, it's all good. Like, shit's going to be all right. Like, don't worry about it. Let's just, let's keep shit moving." And I was talking to him about personal stuff. And again, he was just like, "Yo, this is just a blip in the radar. Like, don't freak out about it. Just keep moving, And I remember that conversation. And then I had another night where Menace hit me up and was like, "Let's go grab a drink." And I had zero desire to do that, like zero desire. And I was going to come up with some excuse as to why I couldn't do it. And we went and grabbed a drink, and Menace was like, "Yo, dude, like, things are going to be fine. Like, don't even, again, like, don't worry about it. This shit will fade. Like, again, I know the market's boring right now. I know you're getting destroyed on Twitter, but like, like, you're going to be good, And it was like at a time where, again, it felt like, and Sonny, I think, saw it more than anybody, because I was going through it. I was pissy as all hell. Again, just from a personal level, I'm getting, there's a lot of shit happening, and then crypto Twitter, not any better. And so, the two of you both played a huge role in just kind of turning my attitude around about it, and just, reminding me that, like, things were going to be all right. And so I give you both, your credit for that, because I appreciated that at a time. Again, I know we can laugh about it now, but like, I was sad. I was sad. So, like, on a vulnerable moment, I appreciate you both, because you guys were there for me during some hard times. So I appreciate you both. Anytime.
I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, we're all here. We have our convictions. I mean, and then back then, I mean, you think the market, some people think the market is down bad now and it's boring now. Back then, it was so bad that, I mean, I didn't hold any DeGods, but you guys held DeGods, and you were waiting for Season 3 for a long time, and that was the only exciting news back then. So it's like, if that fails, you're fucking miserable. Like, it's like you have nothing else to look forward to until they make a new update. It's like, NFTs are bad. They're down bad. Crypto, there's like no movement. It's probably like 3 shitcoins out there, right? It was like Pepe and other ones before they blossomed. But it's like NFTs, there's nothing to do. That was the only thing back then to look forward to. And I remember, dude, the meme came out, and I was like, oh shit, like Marc bull posted the fuck out of this, and I'm like, god damn it. But
bro, I watched that video a few times, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, it was tough.
I was like, I like watching it after. I was like, that's so tough.
Yeah, I remember back then. I was like, damn, dude, Marc like really bull posted and hyped this announcement. I mean, of course, now looking back at it, I even forgot where the meme originated from. But now you reminded me, so thank you.
Oh, that was a great meme. I feel like, I think I told you at one point where I was like, what's it called? Like, lean into the meme to a sense, like it's gonna turn funny at some point, and it ended up turning funny. I feel like now people just look at it and they just like, you just laugh at it now. Like,
yeah.
I will say Solana going from $40 to 210 helped. It helped to make it much funnier because people at least were making money, and when they're making money, they're less angry. But yeah, no, I mean it is true. Like, and I do think that again, you learn from everything. I realized in that moment, like, okay, I'm probably not going to bull post anything that hard ever again, because part of it too. And I think we have to like take into consideration a lot of this, and like without rehashing season 3, because my God, I'm tired of rehashing that. But like, market plays a role, you know, and there's certain times that like something works in certain markets, and there's certain times it doesn't work in certain markets. And so at the end of the day, like season 3 didn't work, but like, again, is it to say that it couldn't have worked at another time? Is it to say that if things had gone another way, if the market had been in different conditions, like other things, you know, could have happened? There's so many different, everybody wants to make everything black and white, but there's a lot of gray area. And so I think with that, the kind of like thought process that I take away from all of this is like, at the end of the day, you've got to just roll with whatever happens, because so much of it is outside of your control. And so if you're sitting there and you're mad at yourself for like certain things not playing out the way you expected, or, you know, whatever, or if you're sitting there right now and you're down bad and you're like, oh, I bought a shit ton of Solana at, you know, 210 and it's down right now to 120. Am I, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But like at the same time, there's so many factors that play into that you got to just keep it rolling and keep it moving. And unless your convictions change, then, you know, it is what it is. You just keep it moving. And so, you know, I will say Solana breakpoint last year was definitely something that, you know, got me kind of, and I think the whole space got everybody hype on Solana and kind of where things were going. And there was so much great content that came out around it. And fast forward a year later, and the 3 of us are about to go out to Singapore. By the time this drops, like, we'll be either in Singapore or close to it. And like, you know, again, it's like, it's kind of cool to think about where the market was a year ago, how we felt about it at that time, and then where we're at now. And it just, I guess gives you, kind of that ability to remind yourself, like, this shit keeps moving. So don't freak out about anything. Kind of lean into certain things, have fun with it. And when you're wrong, admit it, and just move forward and keep it moving. Always learn and keep moving.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like you said, people always learn. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to bull post any announcement like that again. And like with a lot of, I mean, with life, you make a lot of mistakes. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes. And I think as long as it's not with malicious intent, like, because there's a lot of people who do stuff with malicious intent. I mean, it's crypto, it's unregulated. People scam, they steal money, they rug pull. It's like, if you're not doing any of that, if you're making honest mistakes, like, I believe everyone should be forgiven. And I mean, yeah, people bull post, but also, why do you listen?
Yeah.
You know?
Also,
and why do you like put the blame on one individual?
I feel like also now, it's almost a little bit more accepted to bull post and be wrong about something than it was at that time, where it's like it felt more of like a harder shill maybe. But I feel like at this point it is also just okay to bull post something, and if you were wrong, you were wrong. You know, like at a certain point you probably did believe in it. Like at a certain point, Marc definitely believed in whatever he saw and was just like, yeah, this is going to hit. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just kind of like, in a different market, maybe it does. But we don't know that. So at that point, it's just like, it's okay to be wrong on something that you thought would hit and it misses. You're not gonna hit 100%.
100%. So
100%.
With that though, I feel like we got to wrap up this podcast and have a little.
Yeah, you were nice.
I've been eyeing the cookies.
You were nice and sweet with your message to us. You know, appreciate you, Marc, as well. So
yeah, that was a great message.
What kind of cookie do you want?
Oh, let's see. Which kind of cookie do I get for that sweet comment I made?
Yo.
Do you want to be on DeGods mode?
I think we need to.
Pause.
Okay, relax.
Whoa.
No, it really is just a DE. Yeah.
So this is how Sonny's going to slide in the girls' DMs moving forward. Like, you want to see my D? Sends them this cookie. That's
oh my God.
Yeah,
that cookie's fucking amazing.
Hey man, you're on DeGods mode for sure.
Yeah, on DeGods mode. There we go. And then, Sonny, show off a few more to the camera.
Wow.
Oh, Sonny's got some gifts. He's got some gifts.
No way.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
Got the Killer 3 shirt. Got the red DeGods hat. Let's go.
God's great again.
Look big. Sitting on top of the headphones, fire.
Oh, I love it. Appreciate you, Sonny.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me. Really fun podcast. First IRL podcast, and I wouldn't have done it with any other people other than you guys.
Hey, appreciate you.
That's my dog.
Sonny, before
we got to hoop again, too,
by
the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a minute.
We got to run that back.
Menace got the 3-pointer on lock.
Listen, Menace got a little lefty. I remember early on our runs, and, like, you just having, like, sometimes you'd hit some shots and be like, my bad. I didn't know you had that in your bag. I was like, okay, my bad, man. It's like...
Yeah, I like the 3-pointers. I like the 3-pointers. We got to run that back.
Sneaky
really
left. Sneaky left.
We do. Sonny, real quick, before we wrap up, though, let's show off a few more of the Baked by Melissa cookies. Shout out to Baked by Melissa. She sent these over to Sonny.
Shoe.
These are cookies.
Like DeGods mode. We got killer threes.
They don't look like cookies. They're so well made.
They're so well made. And this is a little shortbread action. It's looking like.
Yo, we got.
You know, I got to give it. I got to give a little taste test.
We got to.
Wait, show it to the camera. Which one you're opening up? I haven't seen that one.
I got a killer threes hat.
Wait, show that to the camera over there.
Hat.
There we go. Menace, show off your camera. Show yours to the camera. Little DeGods mode.
DeGods mode.
I got a little D. There we go. No, I got a.
Yo.
Wait.
Pause. Let
me clarify that.
Clip that. Yeah,
Man, I really just cut this out of the podcast.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Oh, man.
I'm not even going to say it.
Why is it so hard to open?
These are good. These are real good. Mess, don't be getting that shit on my couch.
It's not even open. I can't open it. Damn it.
Shout out to Baked by Melissa. These are delicious. Let's give a rating. Sonny, what's your rating?
Relax. I'm savoring the flavor right now.
Also, we got to clarify. Sonny was sent some edibles before we started this podcast,
Nope.
so he's
I was not.
he's got a little devil's lettuce in the system.
That did not happen.
Okay,
That didn't happen. I'm going to give them a 9.77.
Ooh, okay. Menace, what's your rating? Menace is eating DeGods mode.
The texture is amazing.
So are yours,
Oh,
bro.
I like that too.
So are yours.
Our teeth are black. Are you?
Oh, shit.
Your teeth are so black, bro.
The texture is amazing. This cookie.
Oh my god.
Man.
Oh, actually, these cookies are so. I think it's just this one because I had that one earlier.
Oh, so you knew that's why you're eating the yellow one, so your teeth wouldn't be black like ours right now.
No, but
He
this one
fucked
is-
us over.
This
He
one
did.
is sweeter. I didn't know that it turned your teeth black. I didn't know that.
Are my teeth black right now?
Yes. Are mine?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We look like we haven't brushed our teeth.
So
in a-
black that even I can see it.
Wow. We haven't brushed our teeth in a decade. Is
Yeah.
what it looks like.
This is terrible.
Oh.
But I'll give it like a 8.88.
These are damn good cookies.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 9.6. Just make sure you brush your teeth afterwards.
Yeah.
Or honestly, this would be kind of funny if to give it to a girl on a date and then she just she may never talk to you again. But
Bro, what's wrong with you?
It would be low
It
key
would-
kind of funny.
Mark's like, it would be a funny moment, but we wouldn't have any other moments.
Like, listen,
after that.
we should take a selfie as we each eat these cookies. She's like, jeez, that'd be kind of funny.
Why do you want to do that to her?
I don't know. It's kind of funny. I don't know. Shout out to Baked by Melissa. These are great cookies. These
Oh, yeah.
taste damn good. So
Delicious.
I'm gonna eat this in private. Shout out to y'all.
In private? What you mean?
Oh, he's kind
I'm
of sus today.
He's a little sus.
I'm blocking my teeth. But anywho, that's the podcast. Shout out to Baked by Melissa.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, guys.
There we go. Appreciate you.
Good times.